This is Keys to the Shop, episode 136, Nourishment for the Barista's Soul, with Deb Kaminsky of Pacific Natural Foods. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Keys to the Shop, where we give you insights, inspiration, and the tools you need to grow as a coffee service professional. My name is Chris DeFurio. I'm your host for the show. Welcome here. And I'm excited because today we get to talk with Deb Kaminsky. She's the Director of Food Service Marketing at Pacific Natural Foods. Deb is not only the driving force of the success behind Pacific's Barista Series, she is also a huge champion of baristas and specialty coffee, and we get to dive into all of those things in this conversation today. Of course, this episode would not be possible if it were not for the support of our great sponsors, and I want to take time to thank them, starting with Prima Coffee. Prima Coffee is a leading specialty coffee equipment supplier who curates the best equipment from around the world to fit perfectly with the needs of both their enthusiast and professional customers. Helping you succeed in making great coffee at home or in your store is what drives them. So if you want to outfit your kitchen with the best equipment, or you plan on expanding your existing business, or you're getting ready to open your first coffee business, these are the people to call over at Prima Coffee, because they have the expertise to help you get the right gear for whatever situation you find yourself in. So, again, if you're looking for the best equipment and expert assistance to go along with it, look no further than prima-coffee.com. Visit them on that website, reach out to them via phone or email, and see what they can do to help you get the right gear to fit your situation. Thank you very much, Prima, for your support of Keys to the Shop. This episode is also brought to you by Pacific Foods, the fine people behind the Pacific Barista Series line of non-dairy performance beverages that are designed specifically for the professional barista and the standards for excellence that they demand. Whether that's almond milk, soy, coconut, rice, or oat milk, its ability to take the heat from steaming, produce an unmatched silky texture, and keep the flavor balance focused on coffee makes it a perfect choice for your cafe's menu. Pacific is a really huge supporter of the specialty coffee industry and baristas around the world. And these products and how they're developed, and we're going to get into that even in this episode specifically, shows their commitment to the community and producing things that really help us do a great job serving people. So I would encourage you, go to pacificfoods.com, learn about the Barista Series, and find out what it can do to help elevate the non-dairy options you have in your cafe for your guests. Thank you very much, Pacific, for your support of Keys to the Shop. Okay, so today we get to talk with the Director of Food Service Marketing at Pacific Natural Foods, Deb Kaminsky. Deb has a background studying nutrition and working as a dietitian before going into the food industry, working with such companies as Pepsi, Nestle, Custom Culinary, and Basic American Foods. Her passion all along the way has been to nourish people, to care for them, and to make sure that they can live a healthy lifestyle. And she joined the team at Pacific Natural Foods in 2011, and since then has been the driving force behind the Barista Series line of plant-based beverages and their success in the industry. You can trace it back to Deb's leadership and her passion to support and listen to the community that these beverages are aiming to serve. Pacific is one of the best champions for baristas in our industry. And as I say, every episode where we air the ad for Pacific, the products themselves really do prove their dedication to the community of baristas and serving their needs. And that's why I'm so excited to talk to Deb today about her story and how she came from a background as a dietitian, studying nutrition, into the food industry, making her way into Pacific, and then really starting her coffee journey, learning about the barista culture, learning about coffee culture, and increasingly over that time, just becoming a champion for baristas and specialty coffee. Deb is such an inspirational individual. Just from this conversation that I've had with her, it's obvious to me that more than being a sponsor of individual events or a podcast, Deb has made sure that Pacific is synonymous with being a sponsor of specialty coffee itself. So I hope you enjoyed this interview. Here now is my conversation with Deb Kaminsky of Pacific Natural Foods. Deb, welcome to Keys to the Shop. I'm so honored to have you on the show.
Oh, I'm so excited to be on the show, Chris.
Well, I'm happy to have you on the show. I've heard so much about your leadership and about your influence on Pacific and the Barista Series. And it's just an honor to get to kind of dive into your background and into that project a bit. I wonder if we can start kind of from the beginning and say you have a history of hospitality. You come from a food or a hotels and hospitality background, but you made a transition into food. It was a pretty big decision for you. Can you kind of describe the catalyst that moved you from hotels and hospitality to the food world?
Yeah, sure. I spent a lot of my time when I was in the hotel industry hanging out with the chefs. And for the most part, the chefs discouraged me from becoming a chef. I had a passion for nutrition and a passion for helping people. So I actually worked 3 part-time jobs and went back to school to become a registered dietitian. And I did healthy cooking classes and nutrition counseling and was just so much in love with the nutrition profession and helping people that way. It was a great transition, but yeah, it required a lot of education, a lot of sacrifices.
And so you were just pursuing this passion to sort of nourish people. And was that transition difficult? Rewarding? What was that transition like?
Well, I went from working in the hotel industry where I was giving people tours of the hotel and booking their conventions to suddenly being back at the house at a hospital kitchen with a plastic apron and a plastic head covering and, not terribly glamorous.
Right. So it took some getting used to, but it was kind of more in keeping with where you wanted to go with your career. Looking back before joining Pacific, what kind of stands out to you as being the most significant experience or experiences that kind of contributes to who you are today at Pacific?
I think it really harkens back to doing the healthy cooking classes and understanding how difficult it can be for a family to plan a healthy meal and wanting to make good choices. I wanted to be part of giving people as many good, healthy options as we could so that I could multiply what I was doing in my wellness center classes with working for a food company and working on products that nourish people and help people be healthier.
And obviously, this is something that you've dove into headfirst with Pacific. You had a point at which there was an opportunity to join Pacific. Can you describe the decision to join the team?
Yeah, it was really pretty easy. The mission of Pacific aligns so much with my personal mission. It is about nourishing people. It is about putting good out into the world. And both in what Pacific does for employees and how we interact with each other, as well as how we interact with the rest of the world, we really are out there trying to make a positive difference.
And so when you joined, what was your original position with the company when you joined?
Well, believe it or not, I started as director of food service marketing, but, here's the lofty title, but that really meant I did everything. So both on the sales and marketing side. And I didn't get another person to help on the marketing side until I was in my job for 5 years. I've been with Pacific 8 years now, so I waited a long 5 years of doing everything.
So eventually you got help in that position, and you got some specialized role taking over the plant-based beverage category. At that time, it was, what was it, just soy, right?
Yeah, when I started here back in 2011, it was just Barista Series soy at that time.
So not necessarily a thriving, well, a lot of opportunity in the market, obviously, but it wasn't like a thriving market necessarily.
No. My first SEA trade show, we were really agonizing over the fact that no one was stopping by our booth. It was kind of pathetic. And we kept trying to think of new ways to people to talk about plant-based beverages and our soy products. And quite frankly, I underestimated the potential of the category. I really didn't realize what this was going to be all about. I came to Pacific to work on soups, and then what seemed to be really making a difference was our Baristas Series soy. I ended up getting phone calls from baristas saying they just had to have the product. And I stopped and I thought, what? This is soy milk. Why are baristas so passionate about this? And that's when my eyes were opened and I thought, wow, if soy is resonating so well with the community, what else can we do to work with the community to create products that people would be as excited about as they were about the barista soy?
What were they excited about? Obviously, there are a lot of options. In natural food stores, there's a lot of other brands of soy milk that baristas have no doubt tried. What was it that made Pacific's Barista Series so different?
It behaved differently than an off-the-shelf product. It didn't separate. It created great foam, and it actually tasted good in coffee. It didn't have that overly beany taste that soy milk can have. It actually complemented rather than fought the coffee.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. As someone who has, in my original days as a barista, just pull these things off the shelf and try lots of different alternatives. And some of them are just so unpalatable. It was ghastly. It was awful. But that's been my experience with the Barista Series, is that it has that synthesis with what we do as baristas, which makes it such a great choice. But hearing all of this from baristas about the soy milk, is this the time that you started to think, what other products can we create? Like what steps did you take after this revelation?
Well, first, I never take any steps anywhere without consulting with lots of baristas. And that was right from the beginning. It became, well, we have soy, what should we make next? And everybody said almond. And I can tell you, Chris, I was absolutely clueless on what an espresso machine even was and how it all worked together and understanding how the products needed to function. And I went out in the community. I think I literally met with 100 baristas somewhere in Portland, standing in line and asking them to taste our barista almond samples.
Wow. So this is not something that everybody in your position would do. Why do you think that was your natural first step? Like, where does that value of tapping into the community come from?
Well, for me, I have to say, to some extent, it was the fact that I didn't have a ginormous budget to call some big research company to do the work for me. So, feet on the street, stand in line. I went to coffee shops that I frequented as a customer, and then I would be there with my mystery bottle waiting to get their input. So it just was a natural instinct of, just trying to figure it out.
Okay. So you're campaigning, essentially.
Well, I didn't realize it. I just was asking for help.
Yeah. And certainly I bet the baristas were probably pretty surprised maybe that, somebody in charge of a company, a whole line of products from a company the size of Pacific was genuinely interested in their input.
Well, absolutely. And I didn't realize that would be the case. For me, I thought, oh my gosh, people are going to see me thinking, why am I there bothering them? And thinking that I was going to be a nuisance. Instead, people were so thrilled to be asked. And it shocked me that more people in this industry don't ask baristas what they think. And I got so much help. I mean, I cannot thank the community enough. And that's why we try to give back in ways that we can.
Absolutely. And you have in so many wonderful ways. So you got this almond milk out there based on the feedback of baristas, and then, and I'm going to use the words that I heard someone use to describe this. It blew the doors off the place. So it started to really gain some momentum. What was that like around there?
It was a dream come true for a marketer, you know, when you actually make something that people want. As marketers, we frequently end up working at places where you're really pushing products on people and begging them to take them. The fact that we just were received so positively because people just liked the products. It was so much fun. It was probably the best time in my career.
And so much has been added to this line over the years. I think it's 5 products now.
Yeah, we have 2 soy products, then the almond, coconut, rice, and then we launched oat last year.
Used the oat at Coffee Champs, doing a little 1-hour stint on bar. It worked fantastically. Little product push there. But the thing I'm interested in here, as we're talking about this now, is you're in this flow of developing products, and you know that people want this, and you know it's working because they're telling you it's working. What does it look like to develop a product? Like, kind of take us through the steps of, okay, we have an idea, we want to do, let's say, oat milk. What are the benchmarks that you have in place at Pacific that say, okay, phase 1, phase 2, success, and this is an excellent product, not just like a minimum viable product, but this is something that's going to really honor the tradition of the Barista Series?
We're really picky with this. We engage baristas, again, right from the beginning. We bring them in when we do some pilot plant samples. So those are things that are created here in the plant without being fully commercialized. And we bring baristas to Pacific, or we take samples out. And we get input for every product of, sometimes well over 100 baristas somewhere during the process at various stages. And only when baristas say that we perform better than any other similar products in the marketplace, better as far as flavor, functionality, ability to pour latte art. And the criteria that were developed around this were developed by baristas who judge competition. So extremely specific and extremely high standards all throughout the process. And only when baristas say go and you're better than everything else out there do we launch a product. So,
and there has to be a lot of, I don't want to say hesitation. There has to be a lot of points at which you have to go back to the drawing board a little bit with a product based on that feedback, because so far we've been talking about how everybody absolutely loves it, but I'll bet that that's not always the case in the middle of the R&D process.
It's crazy. It's so much back and forth, and our developers, they think they solved the product, and then we come back and we give them negative feedback. And we say, well, we're still not there. It's still not there. But they're phenomenally resilient, and they want to deliver nothing but the best products. They're just so passionate. They love the community. They fall in love with the barista community.
Can you tell us a story to illustrate that? Like, one of the products, is there a time where you thought you had it, the engineers thought they had it, it was almost ready to be like, yeah, we're gonna add this. It's gonna be great, but hold on. Now we need to go back, and it really was that last bit of feedback that made it absolutely work.
Yeah, I would say probably our Barista Series rice product. We were excited to launch something new. We had success with Barista Series almond and Barista Series coconut, and we thought doing a rice product would similarly blow the doors off because, as most of us know, when you try to steam regular off-the-shelf rice, it steams miserably. You can't do anything with it, but yet shops have kept that kind of product around because almost nobody's allergic to it. So we were a little bit more in a hurry to market that product. And what happened is, over the period of time, the product didn't perform in shelf life as well as we would expect it to be. And we were 4 months into shelf life, and we were having to then go and start all over again. And it was devastating for the developer who worked on it because we were anxious to get to market with it. In fact, we had shown it in early stages at the Specialty Coffee Show and were not able to fully launch it. So it was a huge disappointment, and it was a real lesson learned that until we've been through every stage of the process, and until we have gone through and done all the barista testing and all the shelf life testing, we don't launch. We just won't.
That's excellent. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. You mentioned earlier in our conversation that when you first started this, you didn't really know much about the barista world, espresso machines and all of that. I imagine that's changed over the years. How would you describe the then versus now of Deb's understanding of the coffee world?
Well, I can tell you a story. The first time I invited baristas to come to Pacific, I really had invited the best baristas in town. By the time I'd already been out there for a while with Barista Almond, standing in line in all kinds of coffee shops, I got recommendations for who were the real stars in coffee in Portland. And we invited as many of those folks as we could here to evaluate our product. And we had an espresso machine shipped to us by a vendor, I won't mention who, and the machine was delivered to us in parts. And I thought, it's as easy to put together as a Cuisinart, and I was quite upset with the R&D team that they didn't know just how to put together an espresso machine. I realize how crazy that sounds now, but I can tell you, when the baristas were waiting to try product and we had a machine in pieces, Nathaniel May from Portland Roasting stepped up and he put the machine together, called his tech person, Raffin at Portland Roasting, and the two of them are heroes to me. And, we're heroes then and have continued to be heroes. So, really amazing. So huge lessons learned at that time. And my respect for true coffee professionals is immense. And I am so grateful for all the lessons I continue to learn every day.
Wow, that's a harrowing tale. Thanks, Nathaniel. What a hero. Your support for the community and the barista community is one of the things that is most noticeable about Pacific. And I imagine that kind of developed gradually over time as you collaborated with baristas and developed your understanding of the coffee industry. What drives Pacific to support the community and the industry so much?
Well, Chris, when I said I didn't have a ginormous research budget to work with? Well, what I realized is the community was helping us develop products, and we needed to give back. For the people who were working so hard to develop our products, we needed to share the success of the product line. And we continue to try to make the products better and better. Just because we finish one formula and it's well received doesn't mean we don't continue to try to make it better and better. And it's just interchangeable. People have become consultants for us, literally, in helping create the products. So we want to compensate those for their work. And that's been very important right from the beginning.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for all you do for the community, on behalf of the community. And I want to ask, as you look back on this journey you've taken through the Barista Series and kind of becoming just synthesized with the barista community, with the coffee community, what would you say your proudest accomplishments have been since taking the wheel of the Barista Series?
I would say it's my team, the team of people who work with us, both internally and externally. I'm so proud to say that my original hero, Nathaniel May, is part of our team. Mila Heller was the first add to my team, and I'm proud of the fact that they care so much about delivering quality products and giving back to the community. And I'm so proud of them. I'm proud of our sales team, but I'm also proud of our barista network. The fact that there are a number of people all over the country who love our products and are proud of their association with our company. So that's immensely important to me.
What kind of an impact do you want to have on the coffee community and the industry in the coming years?
I can tell you Pacific wants to give back to baristas and further their education and their careers, wants to continue to put great products out there, and just wants to be considered a good corporate citizen from that standpoint. But for me personally, what I enjoy most in the industry is when I can make a personal connection with a barista, and maybe they're at a point in their career and they're evaluating where they go next or what they may like to do in their life. And I enjoy being a mentor very much to people I have met in this industry. I shared with you that it was a major change for me earlier in my life to change careers and work 3 part-time jobs to put myself through school. So I'm right there with so many people in the industry who've had challenges, and I want to be there personally in support of them as much as I can.
Awesome. So when you speak to baristas here and shop owners and the people in the Keys to the Shop audience, like your advice to them as professionals who, I would say, such a large portion of them use your products, and so many of their customers can have great options for their specialty coffee drink of choice because of what you've done and introduced to the market. What advice would you have to them? What would your final words to them be?
Know your worth. You are worth so much. Know your worth. One of my frustrations when I started was hearing how baristas were not being compensated by some companies, or perhaps even working in a booth at the same level that they may have been compensated when they were working at their cafe. No, when you help us out on the corporate side in a trade show, you should be doing better than that and know your worth because you work so hard to perfect your craft. You offer tremendous value in similar ways to chefs I had worked with earlier in my career. You are so amazing. You are so talented. Know your worth.
Wow, that's amazing. I think we in the industry tend to diminish ourselves out of a sense of service to customers, or we have a complex about kind of being our own advocates a little bit. And
yeah, it's true.
That hits home really, really well. So thank you. This has really been fascinating to hear the story behind the development of these products, and your own development in your understanding of coffee, and just what an organic growth this whole thing has been. And I don't know that a lot of us would have guessed at just how relational it is at the core, and how these things that come to be. But it's really heartening to hear the stories behind it, and to hear your heart for the community is even more so. So I'm really thankful and honored to have gotten the chance to talk to you. How can we learn more about what Pacific is doing, and specifically about the Barista Series?
Come see us at different events. I try to get to as many events as I can, and Nathaniel is certainly active in judging. We have our team spread all throughout the country. If there's a certain thing you're working at, and I can tell you, if there's a certain event you're putting together and you would be looking for some sponsorship and some support, reach out to us, send us an email, go on our website, and let us know what you're putting together. And we look to support events all throughout the country. We want to be there for the community, so reach out to us.
So great. Thank you again for all of your generosity, and for taking time to chat with me today. This has really been sweet. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Chris. I'm so honored to have been on the program.
Well, I think you can realize after listening to Deb's heart and her story, just how lucky we are to have her as a champion for us in specialty coffee, and somebody who believes in you so strongly and is in your corner, and has done so much to help baristas develop themselves professionally, and go take trips to Origin and listen to the needs of the community, and actually make changes according to that feedback. This is the type of relationship that I think is to be treasured. And it was such an honor to be able to have Deb on the show. Thank you so much, Deb, for taking the time to talk to us about your story, and to really inspire us and affirm us so powerfully in what we do in coffee. We appreciate you deeply. Thank you so much. If you want the show notes for this episode, you can go to keystotheshop.com, and on the website, there's a place to put your email address on the sidebar. Once you do that, you'll be signed up to receive the show notes on a bi-weekly basis. That's just the key takeaways from every conversation, along with links and resources. So that's pretty helpful for you to kind of read back over what happened in the episode and use it to help further your professional development. There's also news about what's going on with Keys to the Shop, as well as some additional links to professional development sites and resources that I come across over the course of the weeks. So go to keystotheshop.com, look for that. Also, look out for a new website coming shortly. It should be in the next couple of weeks. Keys to the Shop has a new website. Definitely going to be an upgrade. I'm excited to debut that. Now, if you want to reach out to me, you can do so by emailing chris@keystotheshop.com. I would love to hear your questions, comments, feedback, and if you have inquiries about working with me, Keys to the Shop Consulting, to help you develop your operations, your barista skills, your business, that's the email to use, chris@keystotheshop.com. So thank you again for joining me today in this conversation with a great Deb Kaminsky. I hope that it was heartening to you, and I also hope that this episode has truly given you keys to the shop.